Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the Meher Baba program. I'm Fred Stankus, along with my co-host Suhas Ginde. Welcome, Suhas.
Thank you.
Today's program is about Meher Baba Calling. Meher Baba Calling is a book that was compiled from extracts of Baba's discourses throughout the years. And we will be reading, we're now into message number 60, and it's actually, as you see in the beginning of the program, we're show 13, and next week will be 14. So Baba gave these discourses, Suhas, and I'll begin by covering what Baba said on earn godhood. He says, you can earn livelihood with the sweat of your brow, and you can earn godhood with the blood of your heart. So in other words, in life, you can, earn a living, but you've got to work for it.
Yes.
Otherwise, there's no free lunches in the world. But the same can be applied also, earning godhood with the blood of your heart. What does he mean by that?
Well, it means by the energy or the love for God that comes from the heart. It's not actually literally blood of the heart. It means the feelings you have for God, love for God.
I see. He says, unless you become like dust, you cannot realize God. What does he mean by that?
It means you get to that consciousness of dust, which is just, dust is trampled upon, doesn't fight you back. It's a state of consciousness when you're resigned to your fate.
Boy, people would think that would be almost like being sort of very timid and almost...
it's not timid. It's sort of a passive activeness. You have to read on and they'll tell you.
He says, but first you have to become like stone.
Yes.
For you cannot become dust right away. What is needed is you to retain human consciousness and become as stone, and then wear yourself to dust at the feet of the perfect master.
Yes. Like you say, he breaks the stone.
But you seem, you must have to be ready for this. One can't just resign himself.
It's not for everyone.
This is when you're ready on the path.
They say 1 in a million steps onto the path.
So it says, be bound by freedom, be attached to detachment. Be attached to detachment. That means have desires, but be their master and not their slave.
Be in control.
And it says, one who lives for himself is truly dead, and one who dies for God is truly alive. What does he mean by that?
It's not literally, truly dead in the sense of he is unattached to his ego self.
So you're saying when a person is so attached to their ego in life and, I've got this house, I've got this property, I've got this car, I've got this bank account, we're going away on trips, I love this world. God, I go to God on Sunday.
That too is an illusion. That's not what God in this sense means. God is bliss. And everything else is Maya, his creation. All these things you talked about, being attached to your job, your home, your wife, your kids, going to church, whatever, all those are illusory things compared to love for God.
So actually then, going back to the Bible, or when Jesus called his disciples and saying, leave all, even your family and children, come follow me. He's basically almost saying that the worldly things, leave them behind because I will provide you something.
Provided you have a master at that time to follow in the flesh. But if you do not, it just means, in other words, be unattached to the things and be focused and attached more to what the essence of the master is. By one who lives for himself is truly dead, meaning he's dead to God. He doesn't know anything about the spirituality. He is more caught up into these external things, Maya, illusory. And one who dies for God means one who gives up this attachment, then for the sake of reaching godhood, is truly alive, because he is then not concerned with the external, how he lives. You've seen musts. So this is on a very deeper level. There are people who are totally immersed in their love for God. You may have heard about them, or may have seen them.
I met in India, Muhammad, the Must. Yeah.
The Must.
He's
the
totally
must
God
absorbed.
He's God absorbed. He's so absorbed in God
that he forgets
that the world outside, he's oblivious of it. And people look at him, and he appears to be almost like he's mad, but but he's just absorbed in his.
He's mad for the love for God. But then he's not concerned with when he's going to eat, where he's going to sleep, what he's going to put on his body, what he's going to wear. Other people take care of that need automatically, or they feel they have to. But you see, that is an example of what this is.
The next message in my presence, this is a very good one, because sometimes people think, since they're all alone and nobody's around, they can do whatever they want to do, and nobody knows. But what does it say?
You may be lonely coming to that, but you're never alone. God is with you wherever
I know, but I'm trying to say, like somebody will say, oh, I think I will make this lie to somebody because nobody knows that I'm lying, or I'll do something, I'll say maybe something.
But God knows, because He's your constant companion.
But this is a good message then. Baba says.
In my presence, it says, Baba says, think of things that you will not hesitate to think in my presence. Speak words that you will not hesitate to speak in my presence, and do things that you will not hesitate to do in my presence. It is your false self that keeps you away from your true self by every trick it knows. In the guise of honesty, the self even deceives itself. For example, for instance, your self claims, I love Baba. The fact is that if you really love Baba, you would not be yourself making this self-asserting statement. The self, instead of being effaced in love, believes and asserts, I love Baba. Strength begets humility, whereas modesty bespeaks weakness. Only he who is truly great can be truly humble.
Wow.
Would you follow that? When he talks about the self, the false self, he means the ego self, the ego mind that asserts, I do this, I do that, I love Baba. Even the statement, I love Baba, becomes self-asserting. It's better to show your love for Baba by doing, speaking in gentle, loving ways. Then the love will show of itself. You don't have to assert yourself, I love such and such thing.
And the thing is, we should clarify to the viewing audience, we didn't introduce who Baba was. Can you just introduce who Baba was? See, when you're referring to him almost as God. So can you say who he is?
Well, he says he is the avatar. The avatar is an incarnation, a human incarnation of God. In the Eastern world, this is a Hindu concept, the avatar. It means God incarnating in a human form. Now, God incarnates through nature. That's what the Hindus believe. Through all these catastrophes you see, typhoons, tsunamis, hurricanes, floods, famine, and so on. And once in a while, God manifests as a human being, such as the avatars of the past. Baba said he was the same ancient one that has come back again. They come in different times, about 700 to 1400 years, during a cycle of time.
So Baba is the avatar of this time.
This age.
And his dates are what? February 25th, 1894.
1894 he was born.
And he passed on, he dropped his body.
On January 31, 1969.
So he's in this century or past.
In this age. See, there are cycles of time according to the Hindus. And in every cycle there are like 11 ages. They vary in time from 65 to 125 years.
You call them yuga.
A yuga is the cycle, yuga. And the avatar of the age.
But they say yuga sometimes go for thousands of years.
That's a different yuga.
Oh.
In the ages are within the cycles, the 11 ages, and he is in the 11th age. The avatar manifests. Otherwise, you have God becoming men. They're called perfect masters or prophets.
And did Meher Baba say he was forming a new following or religion?
No, he said none of the avatars came to start any religion. Religions were started by human beings, priests and so on, that wanted to preserve the way to worship that incarnation by keeping his rites, rituals, and dates, special dates in his lifetime, and commemorate them. So let's say with the Christians we have Easter, the Resurrection Day, and then we have Christmas,
the birthday of
Christ, and so on.
And holy days too.
And holy days, other days that are of significance for that incarnation. And Baba said he's the same ancient one that manifested as Zoroaster, who was in Persia many years ago. Then Ram and Krishna, who were Hindu avatars. And then Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, and now Meher Baba. It's the same ancient one, meaning there is a consciousness, the highest form of consciousness. Baba said he was the highest of the high. We have human consciousness, which is limited to our sphere of knowledge and understanding. The consciousness belongs to the highest consciousness, can see not only people who are on our plane of consciousness, gross consciousness, but he also sees people who have gone into, there are three worlds, remember, in three levels. You have a gross world or a physical world, a subtle world, which is of energy, and a mental world. And we live simultaneously in all these three, but we're not aware of the other two worlds. We're only aware of our physical world. We have physical consciousness, gross consciousness. So he is the embodiment of God, which in Vedanta, which is the Hindu scriptures and so on, the information says that God exists as bliss. This bliss is manifested in a human being, and he's known as the avatar. That's what Baba said he was. And he demonstrated by living. He just didn't talk these messages. He lived such a life as to show us, who are limited in our consciousness, a way in which we can live to get closer and closer to this God consciousness, this bliss. It's not a person sitting up in the heavens with a long flowing beard and a staff sitting on a throne that's God. That's not the concept we're talking about in this case. So I want to make that very clear. So when Baba says he's God, he says you are also that, but you're not aware of it. And that's why I said earlier that he's always with you as your companion, so you're never alone. You may be lonely, but you're not connected. And that's what he came down. He came as manifest as the avatar to redirect our consciousness towards love for God and to become united. That's the aim, is to become one with this consciousness, this bliss consciousness, in a natural way. And we evolve and involve to get there. We evolve through time. And when we get the human form, we then involve internally. We go through different planes of consciousness till we become one with his level of consciousness, then we become one with God. The consciousness Baba demonstrated was, I and my Father are one. What Jesus talked about, my Father and I are one. He is one with the highest consciousness. So he says, I am God in human form. I'm a God and man. So he just didn't come in and say, I'm God, I don't do the things. He said, I come in at your level, and I'm your friend. I live with you, I work with you, I play with you, I'm with you all the time and through my consciousness. And when you connect to that, then your life takes on a different...
And didn't his symbol was all religions united? Sort of, it was
well,
one.
All religions are one. Their paths are, as an example, it would be like how rivers go to the ocean. If God is represented as an ocean of water, all the different faiths that are in this world that we know of are different directions of getting to that spot, to the ocean. The rivers, the streams, they're smaller. So we have all kinds of faiths and sub-faiths. and many people prescribe to a certain type. They're like different, not everyone is the same because...
So nobody really has the right way. It's just they're
always are the same.
They're all headed for the same goal, but they may appear to be different by their philosophy or dogmas.
Exactly.
Like a Christian will say that this is the only way one can find, heaven is through Jesus' life.
That's a wrong way.
A Hindu will say something else. A Muslim will say, but they're all basically leading to the same place.
Yes, and because...
So an enlightened person then would understand that.
And because of ignorance or the fact that they're not aware that there is only one God, and we are not different from it. We're different in the way we are thinking and approaching our approach to life and approach to God. The Christians follow God in their way, the Hindus their way, the Muslims their way, but they're all rivers going to the same ocean. That's why Baba says, he is the same ancient one. And the Sufis, who are mystical followers of Islam, it's a mystical order of Islam, like you have the Essenes among the Christian faith. They follow Baba. They say they call the avatar like the beloved. They love the beloved. It's sort of like a moth approaching a flame. Moths are drawn to a flame. So what it is it says, my beloved appears at different times in different garbs. The body is just a cloak in different garbs to maintain the same truth, because as time goes by, the truth is people get away from the path of truth and love, and they get caught up in the external life, and they think that is real. But it's only illusion, it's only apparent when compared to love for God.
Right, we'll go on to the next message now, and you just said ways of loving God. As you said, love for God, and here it is. Yeah. Love, everyone now uses the word love. It has been made so very cheap. Mm-hmm. If one really loves, one would never utter the word.
Coming back to the previous message.
What does it mean to love God? It is a very, very great thing. The true lover of God never says anything. He forgets that he loves God.
Meaning it becomes automatic. You love just
the way he lives.
Just live. Love people, love God. God is in everyone, so...
How will you love God? How should you love God? It says not through so-called prayers or other things. Mm-hmm. There are two ways. One is to leave all and everything.
What you said earlier about how Jesus told his disciples, leave all and follow me. Yeah.
That means to have nothing of your own, not even your own body.
You surrender it to the Master.
It says to renounce absolutely everything.
Exactly.
Everything means not only your surroundings, but everything, including yourself.
So you become an instrument to the Master. He gives you orders, you follow them out without question.
Right. And the second thing is something great.
Yes.
There you do not have to renounce anything.
Yes.
You can lead your family life, mm-hmm. be in the world, do your work or business, mm-hmm. attend your services, attend theaters, parties, everything. But always do one thing. Constantly think, constantly try to make others happy, even at the cost of your own happiness.
That's wonderful. That's one of the ways of loving God that Baba mentioned, because again, it comes back to the two commandments that Jesus gave. And I refer to the New Testament because I did study it when I was a young man and in school. And Jesus said, you have to love your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, all your strength. That was the first commandment. And that's what he means by renounce everything, not even your surroundings. Everything means not only your surroundings, but everything including yourself. That was the first thing. He says, give up everything and dedicate everything to God. So that's called loving God. That was the first commandment. This is an interpretation. And the second commandment, Jesus said, was love thy neighbor as thyself, which means God also dwells within each and every one of us. He dwells in everything. So when you love your neighbor, means not the guy who lives next door to you or the person who lives next door to you. You can be the person that you run into at the grocery store, in your work. Love your neighbor because God dwells within you, he dwells within him or her. And you do that. The second way is you renounce nothing. You do your work, you attend your business, you live in the world, attend to your family life. That's called being a householder. But he says, always do constantly think about God, constantly try to make others happy, even at the cost of your own happiness. That's one of the ways of loving God. And that was the second way. Which means you don't have to give up your life in the world, just be not attached to it. You don't have to give up your life, go live in a mountaintop or in a cave in the jungle. You follow what I'm saying? That's like, he said, honest householders are far better than hypocritical sadhus. He said there are a lot of people who renounce the world physically, where they give up things and they wander around as ascetics. But they still have desires. They still have the desire to have certain things. So that's not right. When you give up something, you have no connection with what you've given up. So so it's better to just live in the world, but not, the Sufis say that, not be of it. Be in the world, but do not be of it. Meaning do not be attached to things. Live in the world, enjoy life, but think it's all Baba's. And he is the one you're just a caretaker, in other words. He's saying, attend everything, but always constantly try to make others happy, even at the cost of your own happiness. So by making other people happy, you are indirectly you're serving God in them. You're loving God in them. And that's one of the ways your sanskaras, or the impressions that you came in with, these are the things that give you your desires and your thoughts. They slowly get minimized. And then you get to push more and more into the spiritual life rather than the external. To make that?
Right, the next message is experience heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm. It says, God, who is all power, all wisdom, and all love, all mercy, and all bliss, resides in you all, what I just got through saying. There also reside in you all the apparently opposite aspects of these infinite qualities, like helplessness, ignorance, lust, cruelty, suffering, and so on. He who desires God develops compassion, selflessness, and self-denying renunciation. He who runs after transitory shadows, objects of desires, cultivates selfishness, greed, and hatred. The former brings peace on earth, the latter brings wars and destruction. Give up the low desires and unnecessary cravings, and you will experience heaven on earth. Baba wants all his lovers to know that it is very important not to succumb to lust. Temptations are and will be great, but your love for him should be greater. Remember him wholeheartedly and rise swiftly from where you have fallen and march ahead in his love and service. It comes back to, he did not say give up the things, it's just that you focus more and more on him, because once you become aware that he exists in this world, he did come in our lifetime on this planet. So when you focus more and more on him, then you focus less and less on the things you are desiring. And as a result, you are diminishing your wants and desires and so on. Your sanskaras or impressions get minimized, and you get closer and closer to this oneness rather than manyness.
I know in the next message, find me as your own self, you must always remember that the only thing worth remembering is to forget everything else and to remember me, in order to be able to love me and then find me as your own self.
Higher self.
I am nearer to you than your own breath. Remember me and I am with you, and my love will guide you. I am the one who is always lost and found among mankind. It is your love for yourself that loses me, and it is your love for me that finds me. Love me above everything, for now, while I am in your midst, I am most easily found as I really am.
This is when he was alive, when he was giving these discourses.
If you want to know anything of God and to reach him, then catch hold of Baba's Dhamma, and that's the hem of his garment. Mm-hmm. If you care for God and care for love, and if you have the desire for union with God, then the only solution is to catch hold of Baba. So
wonderful. Find me as your own self, higher self. That's what God is. So he says to forget everything else and remember me in order to be able to love me and then find me as your own self, which goes back to what I said earlier about attend your parties, everything, and remember him. Now, don't get caught up so much into the worldly activities in life, but live it. And he again says, I'm nearer to you than your own breath. And that's what I said earlier, that he's your constant companion. You're never alone. He's part of you, but he's hidden. We are not focused on him. He dwells in our heart. And I mean, he's part of our being, our consciousness, but we're not aware of that most of the time. And when you tune into that, then his love will guide you. And he says it is your love for yourself, like when you're thinking about the things you want and need, want mainly, that loses me, meaning himself. And it is your love for me, for Baba, for God, for love, for truth, that finds me. So he says, love me above everything. For now, while I'm in your midst, I'm most easily found, as I really am. But when he's not in our midst, he is still prevalent. He's with us even now. But we have to be aware of his presence around us and within us. And that takes time. It takes an awakening, in a sense. And then he talks about if you want to know anything of God and to reach him, then catch hold of his Dhamma, and Baba's Dhamma. He gave the example of a little child holding onto its mother's skirt, the hem of the garment, or the mother's cloth that she wore. And that's the way that you hold on to Baba's garment, the hem of his garment, of his robe. And that's the example of how you hold on to Baba under all costs.
That's a great way to end the program, Suhas. I say we're getting the wrap-up sign. So till next week, part 14. This is Fred Stankus and Suhas Ginde. What does Baba say?
He says, don't worry, be happy in my love, and I will help you.
Ah, wonderful. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba to you.